Imagine a waterfall that pours straight into the sea, where you can stand on the cliff and feel ocean spray mixing with falling fresh water. And perhaps strangest of all, you can taste live octopus at Busan's Jagalchi Market. Then wander the Saryeoni forest path, where ancient seers perfume the air. Saryeoni Forest Path on Jeju Island shelters a rare volcanic woodland where lava-formed soil, dense humus, and a stable mist create a rainforest-like microclimate found on almost no other temperate island. Do you know, Saryeoni Forest Path is one of the few places where subtropical camellias, temperate oaks, and alpine mosses grow within arm's reach along the same shaded trail. Walking its wooden boardwalks feels like stepping into a living time capsule, where trunks threaded with lichen keep records of centuries-long weather. The path links seamlessly to Jeju's wider network of ole trails, guiding hikers from dense forest floor to coastal cliffs within a single day's journey. Beneath the leaf litter lie hidden lava tubes that store cool air and fresh water, which locals say help sustain villages through dry summers. Those underground channels also tie Saryeoni to Halasan, as the mountain's volcanic history literally stitched the island's waters and woods together. In spring, the understory ignites with rare wildflowers that draw migrating insects, while winter cloaks the canopy in a stillness that magnifies every footstep. Conservation efforts here connect to the nearby Gyeongbokgung forest, protecting the fragile groundwater recharge that makes Jeju's springs and agriculture possible. Guides will point out ancient stones and boundary markers used by islanders for generations, showing how human life has woven through these groves. From Saryeoni, you can trace a natural route towards Seogwipo's waterfalls, experiencing how volcanic ridges channel rivers to dramatic coastal drops. At dusk, the path changes tone as the forest becomes a cathedral of trunks and shadow, and you start to hear the island's nocturnal chorus. That soundscape helps explain why Saryeoni is not just a stop on a map, but a living hinge between Jeju's mountains, underground waters, and open sea. Visitors who linger learn that protecting one patch of forest preserves a cascade of ecosystems that feed farms, fisheries, and local folklore. And knowing this, the next step on any Jeju itinerary often leads from Saryeoni onward to Halasan's slopes, coastal cliffs, or the quiet villages that rely on these trees. This is a place where walking slowly reveals stories written in bark and stone, and where each trail connects you to the island's deeper geology. If you listen closely, the forest will teach you how volcanic beginnings gave rise to a living, interdependent landscape few islands can claim. From the winding alleys of Busan's port districts, Gamcheon Culture Village rises like a patchwork of color, clinging to a hillside. Once a refugee settlement after the Korean War, it transformed into an outdoor gallery where murals, stairways, and tiny museums turn everyday life into an artful journey. Follow the painted cats and whimsical figures that guide you through narrow lanes lined with cafes and craft shops. Each house is a canvas, each rooftop a viewpoint, offering panoramic glimpses back toward Busan Harbor and the steel silhouette of the city. Local artists and residents organized art village projects that rescued derelict structures and repurposed them into studios, galleries, and interactive installations. You can buy handmade postcards from a grandmother who remembers the village before the paint, or listen to street performers layering modern beats over traditional tunes. Small museums tell the human side of transformation with photographs, objects, and oral histories that connect Gamcheon's past to the city's rapid modernization. From here, narrow paths lead toward the seaside cliffs of Haeundae, making the village a contemplative pause between urban bustle and coastal wind. Look for the mural alley, where optical illusions stretch walls into stairway and ordinary doorways become portals into imagined worlds. Photographers arrive at dawn to catch soft light, turning pastel facades into watercolor ribbons, while residents sweep steps that have held generations. Community workshops invite visitors to paint small tiles or thread stories into collaborative tapestries, bridging tourist curiosity with local stewardship. As you leave the village, the mosaic of rooftops fades into the harbor glow, but the human stories and inventive spirit stay with you, an intimate reminder that places can be remade by creativity. Locals say the village whispers like an open living museum. Come curious and leave changed by small acts of color and care. Jeongbang Waterfall on Jeju Island plunges directly into the East China Sea, one of the few waterfalls in Asia that meets the ocean. Do you know, local myths say the pool beneath the falls was visited by ancient kings and that dragon spirits guarded its waters. From the cliffside path, you can feel the spray long before you see the curtain of water, and salt air threads itself through freshwater mist. Tidal changes shift the waterfall's mood. At high tide, the sea roars against the rocks. At low tide, the cascade runs into a shallow, glassy basin. Fishermen once used the cove below as a sheltered harbor, and remnants of their stone anchors still dot the shoreline like quiet fossils. The basalt cliffs that frame Jeongbang are products of ancient volcanic flows, their hexagonal columns echoing the island's fiery birth. If you follow the coastal trail south, the landscape opens to small coves where fishermen dry seaweed and children weave through tide pools. Archaeologists have found pottery fragments nearby, hints that this place has been visited for centuries for both sustenance and reverence. Today the fall is threaded into modern life. Day trippers share selfies while elders recall earlier, quieter tides. But if you step away from the rail and listen, the meeting of ocean and fall still tells a story older than villages, older than maps. At night, when lanterns along the path are dimmed, moonlight mirrors the cascade, and the sea becomes a black sheet, pierced by the waterfall's silver blade. Visiting Jeongbang is to stand where geology, myth, and daily life intersect, to feel how a single drop of falling water can connect islanders to the vastness beyond. High granite spires at Daedunsan puncture the sky sculpted by millennia of wind and frost. Do you know Daedunsan is famous for its narrow, dramatic ridgelines that hikers traverse by iron stairways and suspended walkways? Morning mists gather in the deep valleys and transform the peaks into islands floating in a white sea. In autumn, the slopes ignite with maple and ginkgo, turning the mountain into a living mosaic of fire and gold. Trails here are not gentle ascents, but a choreography of ladders, bridges, and sudden viewpoints that demand both effort and attention. Each twist reveals a new panorama, a jagged silhouette against the sky that feels like a secret kept from the lowlands below. Local guides talk of ancient hermit paths and small shrines tucked into rock crevices, vestiges of centuries of mountain worship. You can almost sense the patience of time in the polished handholds and weathered steps carved by countless footsteps. From the highest lookout, you can watch clouds pour through the passes like slow rivers, reshaping the scene every few minutes. Photographers linger at these viewpoints, chasing that single fleeting frame where light, shadow, and peak align perfectly. Below the cliffs, terraced farms and sleepy villages stitch a gentle contrast to the harshness above, their fields cradling seasonal harvests. This meeting of vertical wilderness and cultivated land is what gives Daedunsan its unusual character, both wild and human. Our journey does not end on the ridge, though, because the mountain leads us downward into river valleys, where history reveals itself in stone and temple. From here, we will follow those waterways toward the next chapter of the film. where old fortresses and steaming markets tell another side of Korea's landscape. But before we descend, feel the silence that lives between the rocks, the small sounds of wind through pine, and the clack of boots on iron steps. It is in these details that Daedunsan becomes memorable, not just for its peaks, but for the way it alters the rhythm of a traveler. Locals claim the mountain offers a different face each season, and many return year after year to collect new impressions like postcards. Whether shrouded in winter snow or crowned with spring blossoms, the ridges keep their mystery and invite deeper exploration. In the next segment, we will meet the people who tend the valley temples and hear how their lives are braided with the mountain's cycles. Until then, carry the memory of the ridgeline, its iron ladders, and the way the light slices through morning mist. Daedunsan teaches patience, the slow reward of a view earned step by cautious step, and that lesson follows us as we move through the country. Now shift from volcanic silence to royal stone. Gyeongbokgung Palace stands at the heart of Seoul as the largest of the 5 grand palaces built by the Joseon dynasty. Its name, meaning greatly blessed by heaven, was bestowed in 1395. And yet the palace we see today is a palimpsest of restorations, ruptures, and national memory. Walk beneath Gyeongbokgung Gate and the scale recalibrates. Every roof tile, bracket, and painted eave speaks to a strict Confucian order that governed court life. The throne hall, Gyeongbokgung, once hosted royal audiences where law, ceremony, and astronomy met, and where decisions shaped the peninsula for centuries. During the Japanese occupation, much of Gyeongbokgung was dismantled, only to be painstakingly revived in the 20th and 21st centuries as a symbol of cultural resilience. Today, restored timber and hand-painted Gamcheon reveal not just historical aesthetics, but ongoing debates about authenticity, restoration ethics, and national identity. The changing of the royal guard at Gyeongbokgung offers a living thread to those rituals, colored uniforms and muskets linking Seoul's modern pulse to Joseon's ceremonial tempo. Step through to the palace gardens and you find pavilions like Hyeopjae, perched by a mirror pond, inviting quieter reflection amid urban clamor. From here, the story slips into the narrow lanes of Bukchon Hanok village, where traditional houses cluster, showing how palace craftsmen and commoners shaped a shared city fabric. Naksan Beach is one of the world's few shorelines where a historic temple perches directly above an unbroken eastern horizon, known for ceremonial sunrise. Do you know Naksan's red pavilions and stone lanterns align so visitors can watch the sun climb between temple eaves and the open sea? The beach arcs with fine golden sand framed by wind-sculpted pines and tide-polished rocks. At dawn, fishermen pull small boats ashore, lanterns reflecting across glassy water in patient patterns. Autumn coats the headland in crimson and amber pines, the scent of resin mingling with salt on the breeze. Surfers come for clearer, colder waves, while photographers use long exposures to turn moving water into silk. A path from sand to temple climbs weathered steps past tiny shrines tucked beneath twisted pines. Each step reveals layers of history, from old stone repairs to modern offerings left by pilgrims and visitors. At low tide, pools expose microecosystems, anemones, crabs, and small snails that reward those who kneel to look closely. On still nights, the moon backlights the temple, and the beach becomes a quiet theater where waves clap in slow applause. Naksan hosts seasonal lantern festivals that turn the bay into a field of bobbing lights. Nearby vendors grill freshly caught squid and prepare tangy seafood stews that follow the sea's calendar. A coastal trail links Naksan to hidden coves and cliffs, making even regular visitors feel like they have discovered something private. Kayakers and small boats use Naksan as a gateway from open ocean into sheltered bays, favored by migratory birds. By late afternoon, the temple's vermilion paint hums against rock and sea, a color that seems too vivid to be accidental. Naksan quietly braids ancient ritual and seaside life into one shore, asking visitors not just to look, but to listen to the sea. Haeundae Beach reveals one of the rarest coastal contrasts on Earth. A long, golden shore backed immediately by granite cliffs and a skyline of glass towers where migratory currents sculpt the sand every season. Do you know that Haeundae's Dongbaksan Peninsula shelters a remnant camellia and pine grove that blooms through winter, creating a tropical feeling pocket in Korea's temperate coast? Local fishermen still read the sea by rituals handed down from Busan's historic harbor folk. And if you listen closely, you can hear legend mixing with the clack of modern trams. Walk along the shore at dawn, and you might find tiny glassy shells and smooth pebbles polished into unusual shapes, souvenirs of centuries of tidal collisions rarely seen on more sheltered beaches. Haeundae's summer festivals draw millions, but the beach's hidden rhythm belongs to night workers, oyster farmers, and late-night vendors who turn the promenade into a living storyboard. Cross the narrow bridge to Jeongbang, and the urban roar fades. Granite pathways lead past ancient folklore stones and a lighthouse that once guided traders to Busan's safe harbor. In winter, Haeundae thins to a quieter place, where wind-polished sculptures of sand and snow form ephemeral art that only locals know how to read. This is where traditions bend, from Buddhist rituals on cliff-top shrines to techno beats at beachfront clubs, creating a coastline that refuses a single story. And if you follow Haeundae's tide patterns, you'll find pathways that lead not only across the sand, but into the hidden grooves of Busan's history and into places we will explore next. From the painted steps of Gamcheon, we follow the city's heartbeat to Jagalchi Fish Market, where the ocean's harvest unfolds under a roof of shouting vendors. This is Busan's largest seafood market and one of Korea's oldest, tracing its roots back to the early 20th century. Rows of stainless tanks and woven baskets brim with creatures that look like legends: giant king crabs, glistening abalone, and translucent live octopus. Vendors haggle with practiced rhythm, slicing, stewing, and polishing each catch into an edible story. Here, you can choose a fish still thrashing in a bucket and have it prepared on the spot, steam rising with sesame oil and soy. The market is not only about commerce, it's a living archive of Busan's maritime culture, passed down through generations mostly by women, known as Jagalchi Ajumas. These women command the stalls with fierce expertise, their voices and gestures as familiar as the tides they rely on. They are caretakers of recipes, customs, and a stubborn independence that shape the market's identity. Beyond the main hall, narrow alleyways hide tiny restaurants where seasoned owners steam clams and grill mackerel over charcoal. Sit at a plastic table, and you'll be served banchan, the tastes of the sea, each dish a tiny map of local flavor. On festival days, the market swells into a parade of sound and smell, and you might stumble across a live fish auction that moves faster than the eye. The experience bridges past and present. Ancient fishing rites meet modern palates and Instagram feeds. From Jagalchi, a short walk along the waterfront brings you to the Busan Tower and the harbor, where the city's maritime skyline opens up. But linger a little longer among the stalls, and you'll understand why Jagalchi remains the pulse of Busan's relationship with the sea. In the next segment, we drift to the nearby Songdo Skywalk and the coastal paths that let you watch fishermen cast lines into the same waters that feed this market. The link between harbor and market is visible in every roast, soup, and shout, an unbroken chain from ocean floor to dinner plate. Remember the taste of fresh hoe, the delicate chew of raw octopus, the smoky richness of grilled mackerel. They are signatures you'll carry with you. And when you step back onto the street, the salt on your lips will remind you that Busan's story is lived every day at places like Jagalchi. Pitched nearly 480 meters above sea level on Namsan, and Seoul Tower crowns the city with one of the most commanding viewpoints anywhere in the world. Do you know Seoul Tower began life in 1969 as a broadcast mast, but quietly transformed into Seoul's most romantic rooftop, where trails of padlocks trace stories of vows and breakups? From the observation decks, the Han River threads the city like a silver ribbon, while mountain ridgelines stitch Seoul into a bowl of urban fabric. The tower's LED skin shifts color to reflect seasons, national moments, and even sporting victories, turning it into a giant civic pulse, visible from neighborhoods across the metropolis. Climb by cable car, or follow the tree-lined paths of Namsan Park, and the ascent itself feels like stepping from frenetic streets into a green amphitheater. At dusk, the viewing platforms become theaters, where light transforms ordinary skyscrapers into constellations, and the city's grid becomes a living map of human activity. Seoul Tower thus acts as a connective tissue, a place where history, technology, and personal stories converge above the daily rush below. From here, the narrative of Seoul continues. You can follow the avenues toward ancient palaces or drift into design districts that show the city's future as plainly as the skyline shows its past. Every visit alters perspective. Even locals return with new angles, literal and emotional, because the tower keeps revealing overlooked corners of the sprawling capital. And once you've looked down from that height, the rest of Seoul rearranges itself into a series of reachable discoveries, waiting just beyond the next ridge. Jeju's Hyeopjae Beach is famed for white, coral-derived sand and an emerald sea so clear you can see the ocean floor 50 meters out, a rarity in South Korea. Do you know, Hyeopjae's sand is largely made from crushed shells and coral fragments, rather than inland river sediment, giving it a powdery texture that feels almost like snow underfoot. Shallow, warm waters and hidden lava rock pools nurture tiny ecosystems of colorful fish and sea anemones that snorkelers often mistake for tropical reefs. From the shore you can spot Gyeongdo, a small crown-shaped island whose cliffs were carved by the same volcanic forces that raised Jeju from the sea. Local Hanok divers still harvest abalone and sea urchins by free diving here, a living tradition that links the beach to centuries of island life. A short walk from the sand leads to Hallam Park, where subtropical gardens and basalt caves reveal how successive lava flows shaped both land and coastline. At low tide, basalt outcrops create natural tide pools that glow with trapped sunlight, creating miniature worlds that photographers chase at dawn. Hyeopjae's northwest orientation also produces sunsets that paint the water in a molten gold, while Mount Hallison looms inland, a reminder of the volcanic heartbeat beneath your feet. In winter, offshore winds clear the air so dramatically that migratory birds arrive in surprising numbers, turning the shoreline into a temporary sanctuary. This seasonal shift connects Hyeopjae to inland hiking routes and birdwatching spots, making the beach a gateway between ocean and mountain experiences on Jeju. Marine biologists have documented rare seaweeds here that tolerate both cold currents and subtropical warmth, evidence of Jeju's unusual climate mixing. That same mixing explains why you can explore lava tubes nearby one day and sunbathe on white sand the next, all within a 10-minute drive. Every tide here seems to rewrite the shoreline, revealing pebbles, shells, and fossils that hint at epochs when the ocean rose and fell. Walking Hyeopjae's sand, you can feel those epochs underfoot, and it's the connection to time and place that makes this beach more than just a postcard. If you've come for sun, bring curiosity. Hyeopjae rewards observers with teeny, astonishing treasures and routes that lead to Jeju's hidden corners. Begin at the sand. Let the island guide you inland and onward, and you'll discover how each place here, Hyeopjae included, threads into the island's volcanic story. Bukchon Hanok village shelters more than 900 traditional Hanok homes, clustered between Gyeongbokgung and Jeongbokgung, forming one of the world's largest living neighborhoods of pre-modern Korean architecture. Do you know that within its narrow lanes, hidden gardens and tiny stone wells survive from the Joseon era, their water tables and plantings reflecting centuries-old urban ecology? Walk a single alley, and you'll pass craftsmen still mending gyewa tiles, carpenters reshaping door lintels, and families quietly maintaining courtyard traditions passed down generations. An invisible map of social history is written in gate heights, roof curves, and the pattern of courtyard stones, each choice guided by geomancy and status. What visitors often miss are the micro-ecosystems beneath the roofs. Shaded mosses on stone walls, nesting swifts, and summer jasmine planted for scent and medicinal use. Local elders point out hidden inscriptions on beams that record births, floods, and marriages, acting as private chronicles that historians only recently began decoding. Beyond preservation, Bukchon is a living workshop where adaptive reuse means modern families coexist with traditional layouts, running studios, tea houses, and tiny galleries. Those exchanges have produced a subtle palimpsest, electricity and Wi-Fi, threading through centuries-old joinery, allowing heritage to speak in contemporary tongues. At dawn, the village seems suspended between eras. Tiled roofs steam in winter light, and laundry swings next to Hanok thresholds, carved with family crests. By evening, lantern-lit corridors reveal patterns of communal life. Neighbors sharing food, storytellers recalling vanished streets, youths learning ancestral crafts. Hidden viewpoints climb behind a nunnery to offer a rare panorama where palace eaves meet modern skyscrapers, a juxtaposition few cities can claim. A short train ride threads centuries from Hanok-lined Bukchon to the high-rise heartbeat of Gangnam, showing how past and future share the same streets. On the DMZ's strange no-man's land, nature has reclaimed a boundary while reminding us of history's unresolved chapters. Festivals light the nights with lanterns and fireworks, but it's the quiet rituals, temple dawns, market stalls, seaside prayers that linger in memory. Local artisans keep crafts alive, and youth culture reinvents tradition with every new beat and tech breakthrough. This is a country of contrasts where volcanic stone meets cutting-edge design, where centuries-old tea ceremonies coexist with rapid innovation. What you carry home will be less a list of landmarks and more a collection of moments. A bowl shared at dusk, a mountain trail after rain, a city alley that suddenly sings. So walk slowly between the sights, listen for the stories beneath the skyline, and let the unexpected details change the way you see travel. Because South Korea does not reveal itself all at once, it invites you to return, to discover another secret around the next bend. Come for the scenery, stay for the people, and leave with a new map of small, irreplaceable memories. Until then, keep these images close and let them pull you back to the woven, surprising landscape of this islanded peninsula.